lesson 1.5, we are doing, we're going to be talking about variables and equations. If you remember on lesson 1.3, we were talking about variables and expressions, but this time we're going to be talking about variables and equations. So what is the difference? Let's talk about it. An equation is a math sentence that has an equal sign in it. So just like an equation we've talked about in this in class, an equation, an equal sign. So the difference between an expression and an equation is the equal sign. So remember, expressions do not have equal signs and equations do. So we're going to be solving for something. Alright, an example of an equation is 5 plus 9 equals 14. And another example using a variable is x plus 7 equals 19. But let's talk a little bit more about those equations with variables. An open sentence is an equation with a variable. So, anyone that has a variable in it, we're talking about an open sentence. Now, why is it called open? It's because until you plug in a value for the variable, the sentence is neither true or false. So it's open. It's like it could be true, it could be false. It depends on what number you put in for that variable. Alright, another key term that you'll need to know is solution. So, a variable that makes a statement true. So basically it's an answer to a problem. So here's an example. 3 times x equals 9. Now what number would be the solution? X equals 3. Because if we plug in 3 for x, we would realize that 3 times 3 equals 9, and we are correct. So that was what makes it solution. Alright, another important term is solving an equation. Now what does that mean? That is the process of finding a solution. So it's solving some kind of problem with a variable. So, last lesson we talked about simplifying, and that was solving what we can, but this is a little bit different because solving an equation is finding the whole solution. So simplifying is solving what we can, and solving an equation is solving everything. Alright, let's go ahead and do some examples, and we'll see what Alright, let's look at example number 1. Example number 1 says 18 equals n plus 7. Now, what we're going to do is find the solution for n. So which of these numbers should be in the place of the variable n? Let's plug them in and see what we get. If we plug in 8 for n, we would have 8 plus 7 equals 15. Does that give us 18? No. So we know that 8 is not the answer. Let's go ahead and plug in 9, and let's see what we get. If we plug in 9 for our variable n, we'll get 9 plus 7, which gives us 16. Is that the same as 18? No. So let's go ahead and try to plug in 11 and see if that works. Okay, if we plug in 11 for n, it'd be 11 plus 7, which gives us 18. Is that the correct answer? Yes, it is. So we know that 11 is the solution to the problem. Alright, let's look at number 2. It's very similar. We have 5x minus 6 equals 14. So we're going to figure out which one of these is the correct solution for x. So let's go ahead and plug them in. If we plug in 3 for x, we'll have 5 times 3 minus 6. So we would have 15 minus 6, which gives us 9. Is that the same as 14? No. So we know that this is not the solution. Let's go ahead and plug in 4 for x. If we have 5 times 4 minus 6, what do we get? 5 times 4 gives us 20, and 20 minus 6 gives us 14. Is that our answer? Yes, it is. So 4 is the solution to this problem. Alright, we've done a few different types of problems like this in other lessons, but we're going to apply it to our equations this time. So this word form, we're going to put it into number form, okay? So it says the sum of a number and 9 is 21. So when I look at the word sum, I automatically think addition, right? Because sum is the answer to an addition problem. So what are we adding? It says of a number, which is a variable, so let's just use x. A number and 9 is 21. Now it wants us to solve. What number can we put in for x to give us 21? Let's see. If we plug in, let's guess. Let's plug in 12 plus 9. Let's see what we get. If we add 12 to 9, we would have 21, and that gives us our answer. So by guessing and checking, you'll be able to figure out that 12 is the solution. All right, last problem is a word problem. It says, Paul's lawnmower runs for 1.5 hours on 1 gallon of gas. Given G gallons of gas, write an equation to find H, which is the number of hours the mower would run, then find the number of gallons used in 6 hours. So first it wants us to write an equation. We are going to be using the variables G for gallons, and we're going to be using the variable H for hours. So we also have to find what information do they give us. They give us 1.5 hours on 1 gallon of gas. So I know that I'm going to have to multiply 1.5 times the number of gallons to figure out how many hours we're going to get. So now we are going to have to plug in 6 hours. They want us to figure out how many gallons are we going to get with 6 hours. So we are going to have to put 1.5 times G equals 6. Now what times 1.5 is going to give us 6? We're going to guess and plug in answers, and we'll figure out that G is equal to 4. Alright, as always, you can go back in your book, you can rewind the video to get some more examples so that you can make sure that you know what you're doing. So let's do a few practice problems together.